Hi, I'm Elena.
And I'm Kaylee. The code section that we chose to do for our tax project is Code Section 165, which is the casualty and theft code section. And the code section is used whenever a disaster strikes or an unusual event occurs or theft or something like that. And it currently states that any loss can be deducted if it is not compensated by insurance reimbursement or kind of anything else like that.
Well, this code section is very useful. The main improvements that we noticed would be just to add more detail in general to the code. First off, it lacks a definition of what a casualty or a theft loss even are. Secondly, there have been problems with what a timely filing of a claim is, so we thought it could use a definition of that as well. And lastly, it could use clarifications on what documentations taxpayers need to provide when they're filing their return.
Most people, when they hear the term casualty, tend to think of someone passing away or a death or something like that. But this code section has nothing to do with that. So that was our basis kind of in trying to decide to include definition into the code section just to clarify to taxpayers kind of what a real casualty or theft loss is and how they can claim it and stuff. And so just to clear up the confusions, the definitions that we thought would fit best into the code sections are under casualty loss, it would be to qualify as a casualty, a loss must result from an identifiable event of a sudden or unexpected or unusual nature. And this includes things such as like natural disasters like fires or hurricanes, automobile accidents, and other events that are not caused by natural force. And anything that kind of wouldn't be included with that would be like things that just are from deterioration or anything like that wouldn't be included in a casualty loss.
As for theft, it should be noted in the code that a proper definition would be that theft is the unlawful taking or removal of personal property with the intent to deprive the original owner of its use. So, for example, if a taxpayer entrusted a broker with $1 million to invest in stock, and after a while that stock went down, the value of the stock went down, this would not be considered a casualty loss. If, however, the taxpayer lost all that money due to the broker stealing it, that would be considered a casualty and more specifically a theft loss.
Another aspect of the code section that we thought was a little too vague and it's left up for too much individual interpretation is what a timely insurance claim is. Because there have been too many problems with the enforcement of this, and it's not always fair to taxpayers when they should be able to get a casualty loss on something, but they don't file the claim in time because they don't know what a reasonable time is to file a claim. The correction that we thought would be good for the code section is to state the term, a timely insurance claim shall reflect the timing requirements and conditions of recovery set forth by individual insurance policies. With this correction, the taxpayers will know exactly when they need to file claims to their insurance in order to include a casualty on their tax returns, because without the insurance claim, they won't be able to claim anything.
So, for example, a problem that was had with this is in a court case, Ambrose versus United States, when the couple lost their home due to destruction by fire, that would have entitled them to take a deduction under Code Section 165 on their tax return. But their insurance-specific policy stated that they had to file proof of loss within 60 days in order to qualify and invoke their coverage. Unfortunately, the couple failed to meet this deadline, but they still claimed the deduction on their tax return. After being audited, the IRS denied their refund due to their failure to meet their insurance company's policy. If our new code section had been in there, the Ambroses would have already known that by not meeting the insurance policies, it disallowed them from taking that claim on their tax reduction, and this whole case could have been avoided.
The last thing that we decided to improve upon would be that there is no place in the section that states what kind of documentation needs to be provided with each claim to make sure that it is actually claimed on a taxpayer's tax return. The IRS is very, very strict on what is and is not acceptable proper documentation to be claimed. Things that would need to be included are like a proper appraisal value and photographs if they're applicable and proof of ownership of the property and things like that. And the IRS is not afraid to challenge anything that they don't think is accurate, so the more documentation that a taxpayer can provide is better off for them. With including what documentations to be provided in the code section, taxpayers will not be confused on what they should have, and the IRS can assume that all taxpayers know what documents are to be expected of them.
So, for example, if a natural disaster struck an area and that caused many people to have to file a claim for casualty losses, there would be a chance that some of those people their claims would get approved and some others wouldn't, solely based on what documentation they provided. So this means it's especially important that in the code there is a guideline for what documentation should be provided with the tax return to ensure that more people are able to claim the deduction. So if two taxpayers were trying to claim a loss on their house that got hit by a tornado, for example, and each got a different appraisal to decide what the fair market value was before and after, the IRS could decide to accept only one of those estimates based on whether or not they thought that the appraiser was certified and had good credentials. So by adding this code section, it would just help the taxpayers claim the proper losses and ensure that they are all treated equally in the process.
Our main goal with including these detailed corrections in our code section was to not only help the taxpayers out, but to also help out the IRS, because if a huge disaster strikes or anything like that, there are going to be a lot of people trying to claim losses, and that way it will be assured that more people will know what is expected of them and what can be claimed and what cannot be claimed on their tax returns. God.